A Wikileaks document found within its global intelligence archives has been a topic of discussion for nearly 4 years. The document, attributed to the State Department's Office of European and Eurasian Affairs, is titled Report on the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics' Destruction of a Clandestine United States Base on the Moon. 2 years after an initial Freedom of Information Act request was submitted, the full document was officially declassified and released. Since its first appearance in the Wikileaks database and its subsequent discovery by users, the document has fueled widespread speculation regarding its true significance. Many found it particularly intriguing due to past discussions about classified lunar operations, including a historical proposal to detonate a nuclear bomb on the Moon. However, upon reviewing the document in detail, it becomes clear that it is not an official account of a secret Moon conflict, but rather a letter referencing a 1979 inquiry made by former House Representative Samuel Devine. The letter, written by Douglas J. Bennett Jr., then Undersecretary for Congressional Relations at the State Department, dismisses the claim that the Soviet Union destroyed a hidden US lunar facility in 1977, stating unequivocally that the allegation was false. Devine's inquiry was prompted by correspondence he received from a constituent, Said Quentin Arbogast, who referred to the alleged event as the Battle of the Harvest Moon. The original Freedom of Information Act request seeking information on this matter was submitted to the State Department in 2019. Subsequently, it was advised that the document be archived at the National Archives and Records Administration, where it would most likely be preserved due to its historical context. The document suggests that the US government kept the existence of this base a closely guarded secret, fearing international backlash and potential violations of treaties, which prohibits the militarization of celestial bodies. According to the account, only a select group of military and intelligence personnel knew of the base's existence, and all activities were carried out under the guise of other space missions. However, the document reveals that the Soviet Union somehow became aware of the base. US intelligence operatives were initially unsure how the Soviets learned about the lunar installation, but evidence suggested that Soviet spies had infiltrated key American space agencies or private contractors involved in the construction of the base. The US government believed the Soviets might have been planning their own covert moon mission, leading to heightened tensions. Insiders have said that the destruction of the base, as detailed in the document, had significant implications for US-Soviet relations. Despite the violent nature of the incident, both governments chose to avoid public confrontation. The US administration feared that disclosing the attack would not only violate certain laws, but also provoke a public outcry about the militarization of space. The Soviet Union, on the other hand, likely wanted to avoid being accused of attacking a manned facility, a potential violation of international law that could lead to diplomatic isolation. The document suggests that high-level diplomatic talks between the US and Soviet Union took place in secret to de-escalate the situation. Both sides agreed to bury the incident, with the understanding that further military actions in space could lead to catastrophic consequences for both nations. As a result, the US never publicly acknowledged the existence of the lunar base, and the Soviet Union never admitted responsibility for its destruction. The declassified document revealing the destruction of a secret US lunar base by the Soviet Union not only redefines the history of the space race, but also provides a compelling reason for the creation of modern space-based military strategies. The covert assault on this lunar base, a US lunar installation, exposed the vulnerabilities that nations face in space and underscored the need for greater control, defense, and security in this new domain. Many insiders who have studied these documents have said that this incident, hidden for decades, stands as one of the foundational events that motivated the establishment of the United States Space Force, a branch of the military focused entirely on protecting American interests beyond Earth's atmosphere. The destruction of this base is a stark reminder of the strategic and military importance of space. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union recognized space as the ultimate frontier, not just for exploration, but for potential military superiority. The covert lunar incident demonstrated how space could easily become the next theater of warfare, with devastating consequences if one nation were to gain a foothold in outer space or on celestial bodies like the Moon. The Soviet Union's decisive and destructive response to the US lunar base highlighted how vulnerable space installations are to attack. This lunar base's fall was a wake-up call for the US military and government, showcasing the limitations of current defense strategies when applied to space. Despite technological advancements and the success of NASA's public missions, the covert operation exposed the US's lack of preparedness for defending space assets, leaving vital installations open to sabotage. With this in mind, the lunar base incident set the stage for future generations of military strategists and policymakers to consider space not merely as a domain for exploration, but as an operational environment that needed its own dedicated defense force. This realization would only grow stronger in the decades to come, as both the technology for space warfare advanced and new players, such as China and private space companies, entered the scene, adding more complexity and competition to the space race. Although the US Space Force was officially established in December 2019, the roots of its formation can be traced back to concerns that emerged long before its public creation. The covert destruction of the secret military lunar base and the understanding that space could easily become a contested battleground played a significant part in shaping the direction of US military policy in space. The US Space Force was created as a response to the growing realization that space was no longer a peaceful domain for scientific exploration alone. Just as the lunar base incident showed, space assets like satellites, space stations, and potential moon bases could become prime targets for future conflicts. Space, much like air, land, and sea, was now seen as a domain that required protection, control, and defense. According to military analysts, the lessons learned from the Cold War, particularly the destruction of the secret US lunar base, emphasized the need for a dedicated military force capable of managing the complexities of space warfare. The US Space Force was designed to ensure that American assets in space, both civilian and military, are protected from any potential threats, whether from state actors like Russia or China, or from rogue actors and non-state entities. By creating a dedicated force, the US could streamline its space defense strategy, unifying satellite operations, missile defense, and space intelligence under one umbrella. The Space Force's primary responsibilities include developing systems to deter or defend against attacks in space, ensuring the protection of US satellites and space-based communication systems, and monitoring potential threats from other countries or entities that could disrupt US interests in space. These objectives take direct inspiration from the vulnerabilities that were exposed during the covert lunar base incident, where a lack of space-based defense allowed a foreign power to destroy a critical asset. The exploration of space, particularly the moon, has captivated human imagination for decades. The public narrative of human lunar exploration revolves primarily around NASA's Apollo program. Between 1969 and 1972, 6 Apollo missions successfully landed astronauts on the moon. These historic achievements are some of the most well-documented and celebrated in the history of space exploration. After the Apollo 17 mission in December 1972, the United States effectively ended its manned moon landings, citing high costs and shifting priorities in space exploration. However, this abrupt end to manned moon landings has always puzzled many observers. The immense investments in the Apollo program, both in terms of technology and human capital, made it hard to believe that NASA or the US government would simply abandon lunar exploration after achieving success. Moreover, the moon, with its potential scientific value and strategic importance, seemed too valuable to leave unexplored for decades to come. This discrepancy has led some to believe that not all moon missions were made public. In recent years, declassified documents and whistleblower testimony have suggested that secret moon missions may have occurred under the radar of the public and mainstream media. These documents point to a variety of covert activities, ranging from secret reconnaissance missions to the installation of classified equipment on the moon. Although many of these documents remain heavily redacted, they provide tantalizing glimpses into the possibility of undisclosed lunar missions. Additionally, records from the Defense Intelligence Agency and the Central Intelligence Agency have also hinted at secret reconnaissance activities on the moon. These activities were reportedly conducted to monitor potential Soviet advances in lunar exploration, particularly during the height of the space race. Some of these documents refer to unmanned lunar operations, but the possibility of manned missions remains an open question. Adding fuel to the fire, are accounts from former NASA employees and military personnel who claim to have knowledge of secret moon missions. One such whistleblower, a former contractor at NASA, suggested that additional missions to the moon were undertaken under the guise of unmanned lunar operations. According to their testimony, some of these missions involved installing monitoring equipment and conducting experiments that were too sensitive to disclose publicly. They also hinted at the possibility that these missions were carried out by astronauts trained specifically for covert operations, separate from the well-known Apollo astronauts. Another source of speculation comes from Apollo astronauts themselves. In various interviews over the years, some astronauts have alluded to the presence of unexplained phenomena on the moon, as well as potential secret missions. For example, Apollo 14 astronaut Dr. Edgar Mitchell, a strong advocate for transparency in space exploration, often spoke cryptically about military involvement in space and the presence of classified information related to extraterrestrial life and unknown lunar activities. While these statements have not been confirmed as direct evidence of secret moon missions, they have added an element of mystery to the public's understanding of lunar exploration. One possibility is that secret moon missions were part of Cold War efforts to gain a strategic military advantage over the Soviet Union. The moon, located outside of Earth's immediate geopolitical reach, could serve as a platform for surveillance, missile detection, or even military installations. Keeping these missions secret would prevent the Soviet Union from developing countermeasures and maintain US dominance in space-related technologies. Another theory is that secret moon missions were undertaken for the purpose of mining or exploiting lunar resources.